Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Will you please? Will you please stand? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Council, you've had the opportunity to read the minutes from our council study session of December the 5th and our council meeting of December the 5th. Are there any corrections to be made? Seeing none, they will stand approved. We have no communications, petitions, and awards this evening, nor do we have any public hearings, and that brings us to our comments from interested citizens. So if there's anyone in the audience who would like to make a comment, would you please come to the podium, state your name and address for our records,
I wouldn't
and make your
disappoint
comment.
you, so here I am. It's Jack Froschauer, 11600 Castle Road.
Happy holidays. Merry Christmas.
Thank you very much. And I was going to extend those same good wishes to all of you, Madam Mayor, council members, others on the
Nice
dais.
sweater, Jack. Nice sweater.
I'm not going to regale you with any of my prepared, eloquent remarks as you've become so accustomed to over the past 3 years. And I will give you a simple observation, is that I think we've got to push, as 2017 comes up, I think it's important for you to push the reset button on our relationships with City of Union, City of Dayton, and Montgomery County. It may have seemed like a small thing, but when I read in the Drummer 2 weeks ago, we're swinging this deal for emergency and fire provided to the new Spectrum 200,000 square foot warehouse in exchange for fire hydrants. And I just asked Chad, and he said, yeah, it's a benefit to us. And we got about 10 hydrants. But here's the thing. There was a guy for the past year, we heard he was going to make all kinds of great deals. And the jury's still out, and I hope he does make a lot of great deals, because he's a great deal maker. We'll find out in a month. We're not making very good deals. We're getting pushed around by City of Dayton, City of Union, and Montgomery County, and it's no good. It's no good. They needed that service more than we needed the hydrants. They certainly told Spectrum, who's primarily got product that's petroleum based, it's very flammable. Gosh, I'm sure they told them that there was going to be emergency and fire provided. But it apparently was inadequate, so they had to come to us to shore. Well, then they needed us. We didn't need them. They needed us more than we needed them. And we didn't swing a deal. We just went ahead and said, okay, and that's got to stop. And I hate to be like that in this spirit of peace on earth and goodwill, but I think we've got to consider that as we head into the next year. But Merry Christmas to all of you, and Happy New Year, and thanks for listening to me.
Thank you. Mr. Cruzy, or would you like to have the chief respond in any way?
Aren't we secondary, though, in that agreement? We're a secondary responder, not the primary responder, and it's what we would afford other groups.
Yes. The answer to your question is
We're not
yes.
the primary responder. When that building was built, the city of Dayton has the primary responsibilities. We're a secondary responder when they can't respond or when they're going to be late because our fire station is closer. And not to say that your point isn't well taken in many respects, Jack, and I do concur with that. Our ability to respond to in the union thing, we didn't have the property during that annexation in Butler Township. We can only represent our interest when our interests are involved. In this particular case, we're a secondary responder. The chief is certainly able to respond to it better than I, but that was my understanding, and the burden or the support that's coming from Vandalia is rather limited. And Chad, you can go ahead.
It's simply just a a lock-in of an agreement we're already in with the countywide mutual aid agreement. Just provide them additional assistance when they require that assistance.
Which, at the meeting when we discussed it, I just feel like Vandalia is a city that would help its neighbor in a time of need, Jack. And I know what you're saying. I agree we're not in all great deals, but in that case, even the arguments that were made, I'm like, Vandalia is a city that would help its neighbor in a time of need, and that's the only point that was really in that deal.
There's no question. In the
Yeah.
workshop, Mike said we'd like to accommodate the fairgrounds and be neighborly, and he used the word neighborly, that's terrific. But we've been neighborly asleep at the switch, and now we've got this big damn traffic problem, and so I think at some time we have to stop and step back and say, is that to our benefit? I mean, are we going to benefit at all? I heard you all say that about the fairgrounds, and that's 100% correct. There is absolutely no benefit unless Montgomery County is going to pay. That's a whole different issue. I'm exclusively talking about this. I already knew we were in a mutual arrangement. But we're closer, Chad, than the nearest Dayton responder. Is that true? That's true. So the chances are our guys would be the one responding if there was a fire.
That is true.
So we'd be in the first position. Now, and I think that's great. I think that's great. If there's something reciprocal happening. But I don't think that's happening with anybody. We're the pushovers. We're just saying, we'll help you out. And that's great, Dave. But gosh darn.
I'm telling you, is my belief and opinion, and Chad could follow it up, that other cities would do the same for us in the same situation. We're not doing anything other than being there when we're needed. And if we needed Huber Heights or Butler Township or City of Dayton to roll fire trucks off of the airport in a catastrophe in Vandalia, they would. I'm sure they would.
I don't have any doubt about
Going out
that.
of the city about 10 to 12 times a month right now in mutual aid agreement.
But I mean, I don't think you're talking about just this specific thing. What we got was some fire hydrants in case our business is across the street from that, and that is something we got. I don't think we were looking at this as a big, what are we going to get from Dayton for us to provide that, because it was kind of like Chad is saying, it's already in place. I'm 100% in agreement that every deal we get into with anybody, we as a council need to be very careful going forward, and we always have considered do what's best for Vandalia. I agree with your point, is what I'm saying.
I put that 6 or 8 months ago. I wrote a letter to the drummer exactly how much I respect all of you, and I know.
Yeah, no, I'm not arguing. I'm just
and I know that.
Yeah, you're right on everything you said. Other than I just disagree with asleep at the wheel on that mutual aid deal and what we got. I don't think that was where we were being boozled or we gave away the city to get something or not get something.
I don't know, but
But I agree with you. We need to be.
We could have said to City of Dayton, well, you're getting this. We're not getting 1 cent. And somebody should negotiate a deal and say, well, then we'll be glad to do that. We're closer. So should the circumstance arise, and because of the kind of product that's there, it's a strong possibility that at some point they will need that kind of service. And I think they're getting all the revenue. We're getting all the traffic. And we've been over that I've talked to the mayor about it a number of times. And so in this instance, I'd be curious if anybody even said, you know what, you're right. And that will solve your problem with this new development. And what's that worth? You know, shouldn't you give us $2,000 a month or something like that? I don't see what's wrong with asking that question.
Jack, we did go round and round about this, but we're convinced after discussion that our involvement would be very limited, and then we reevaluate it at the end of a year, because if our involvement is more so, then we would have to readjust that. But if they stay with the calls that the chief expects in trade for the use of it did equal out. If not, then we will change that at the end of the year. So
it's not a in perpetuity sort of contract.
No, right, correct. None of our contracts
It'd be re-explored.
like
We
that.
bill for ambulance service, and that would be the primary. I mean, a catastrophic fire there, we would appear anyway, whether we had some type of
Right.
agreement or
Of
not.
course,
And
of course.
if we have ambulance needs that we would be primary on, as we do with all citizens, if they're insured, we bill for that particular service. So I didn't see a huge negative there, nor did I think in our discussions did we as a council see one.
And another thing is that we can take ourselves out of service for an hour, a day, a week, 2 weeks. We can take ourselves out of service.
That's how I understood it. It's just, there are other circumstances, but that was a specific tonight that kind of, to me, spoke to that situation, that we're not getting a fair shake, and the others aren't being neighborly to us. That's my point. But thank you.
Thank you, Jack.
Well, thank you, because I think the discussion was probably very worthwhile for other people who might have not understood what we were doing and how and why we were doing it. So, thank you, Jack. Is there anybody else? Seeing none, I'll close the segment on the comments from interested citizens and go to the city manager's report. Mr. Cruzy.
Thank you, Your Honor. Yeah, I've got 2 items this evening. First is the delivery of our annual calendar, which was supposed to take place this past Saturday, was delayed due to weather. And so the delivery of those calendars will now take place on January 7th, and they will be delivered by the Vandalia Butler National Honor Society. So they're moved to Saturday, January 7th. Regarding the upcoming holidays, city offices are going to be closed on Friday, December 23rd, as well as Monday, December 26th, due to the Christmas holiday. We're also going to be closed on Monday, January 2nd, due to the New Year's holiday. So our first council meeting in January will actually be on a Tuesday, and that will be January 3rd. The rec center operating hours, they'll be open on December 24th, Christmas Eve from 7 a.m. until noon, and then December 31st from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. The rec center will be closed on Christmas Day and New Year's Day.
Thank you. There are no action items nor old business, and that brings us to our resolutions for this evening, starting with Resolution 16-R-100. Mr. McDonald.
16R100, a resolution awarding the bid for the installation of a new HVAC system for Castle Hills Golf Course Clubhouse, requested by the Parks and Recreation Department to Mechanical Systems of Dayton in the amount of $17,387.
Thank you, Mr. Cruzy.
Thank you, Your Honor. So we do have $19,000 budgeted for the HVAC replacement project at Castle Hills. The current unit is 32 years old and was added to the building when the snack area was added on to the west side of the building. Again, this is also located up in the attic above the pro shop. The current unit has had several maintenance issues that require added attention, and the new unit will be more energy efficient and reduce our maintenance visits. While the project was publicly advertised and bid specs were sent to 4 companies, we did only receive one bid, and that was from Mechanical Systems of Dayton. Again, they submitted the low bid, as Jerry indicated, of $17,387.
Thank you. Is there a bid?
I'll make a motion.
Motion?
Resolution
I'll bid
16-R-100 as
17,422.
presented.
Second.
It's been moved by Vice Mayor Lewis, second by Councilwoman Forrest, that we do approve Resolution 16-R-100. Are there any comments?
I would like to ask one question or make a comment. Is there any way we can make it more attractive for more people to bid on these projects rather than just having one bid and that's all we have to base our decision on?
Well, like I said, we sent the specs to 4 different companies. I guess short of sending it out to, more companies, we can always do that. We're at their mercy whether or not somebody's going to decide to bid on the project. Part of it probably has to do with the time of year we're bidding the project. I assume most of those companies are probably a little bit busy this time of year.
Okay.
So, our goal is to always get as many bidders as we can, but we run into this problem every once in a while where we've even had people show up for the pre-bid meeting and then don't end up bidding on a project. So, short of it's just expanding the number of companies that we send the bid specs out to, because it's also advertised in the paper.
This would probably be a good question to ask the mayors and managers meeting, how they are finding bids coming in.
Yeah, I don't know if other folks are having trouble getting folks to bid on some of their projects.
Yeah, Richard, this has been a 13 or 14 year thing that, it's just sometimes there's just one bid and it doesn't really make sense, but
Well, I've noticed
you're
it
not
more
the
and
first
more here
person to ask
lately.
the question, yes, yeah.
Historically, it's been that,
Mhm.
fortunately.
But
And we approve these and not really have a good feel, is that the best price? Is that the best offering we can get?
Anyone else? Seeing none, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Ehlers?
Yes.
Councilmember Blakesley?
Yes.
Councilmember Gerhard?
Yes.
Councilmember Fairst?
Yes.
Councilmember Herbst?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lewis?
Yes.
Mayor Setzer?
Yes, and the motion passes 7-0. Resolution 16-R-101, Mr. McDonald.
16R101, a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement with Montgomery County Public Defender for public defender services.
Thank you, Mr. Cruzy.
Thank you, Your Honor. Annually, the city enters into a one-year agreement with the Montgomery County Public Defender Commission to provide legal representation in Vandalia Municipal Court to indigent persons that are charged with the violation of city ordinances for which jail is a possible sentence. The fee for this representation is proposed to increase from $142.44 per case to $146 per case, or a 2.5% increase.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
I move that we approve Resolution 16-R-101.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilwoman Farr, second by Councilman Blakesley, that we do approve Resolution 16-R-101. Comments? Seeing none, would you call the roll?
Councilmember Blakesley?
Yes.
Councilmember Gerhard?
Yes.
Councilmember Fairst?
Yes.
Councilmember Herbst?
Yes.
Councilmember Ehlers?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lewis?
Yes.
Mayor Setzer?
Yes, and the motion passes 7-0. Resolution 16-R-102.
16R102, a resolution amending Resolution 16R97, waiving the formal bidding process and authorizing the purchase of various hardware and software components for the 2016 server upgrade project.
Thank you, Mr. Cruzy.
Thank you, Your Honor. At your last meeting, Council approved Resolution 16R97 that authorized the purchase of hardware and software for our server upgrade project. During the ordering process, it was discovered that the vendor quoted the wrong software license that was required. What they quoted was a standard core license at $71.12 rather than the required data center license, which is $440.06. However, for this project, we require 84 licenses. So the cost for this particular license increases from $5,974 to $36,965. So the new total cost for the server upgrade project would be $199,037, again, which is an increase of $30,774.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
I'll move that we approve Resolution 16R-102 as read.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilman Herbst, second by Councilman Ehlers, that we do approve Resolution 16-R-102. Any comments?
I'd note that the original software or the licensing that was approved wasn't something that we could even use. So it wasn't like we're passing up the benefit of our bargain, but that we need the different type of licensing and thus have really no other option but to acquire it.
Correct. Yeah, the cost of this project is what we should have paid originally when we did the original resolution.
And weren't we also told that we were getting a slight discount?
Correct. We got because of the miscommunication between the vendors. They did give us a slight discount, so we are actually going to pay a little bit less than we would have originally.
And it's still going through state purchasing, is it not?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Will you please call the roll?
Councilmember Gerhard?
Yes.
Councilmember Fairst?
Yes.
Councilmember Herbst?
Yes.
Councilmember Ehlers?
Yes.
Councilmember Blakesley?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lewis?
Yes.
Mayor Setzer?
Yes, and the motion carries 7-0. Resolution 16-R-103, Mr. McDonald.
16R103, a resolution waiving the formal bidding requirements and authorizing the city manager to enter into a lease agreement with Lake Erie Golf Cars, LLC, for new golf carts to be used at the Castle Hills Golf Course and to lease the existing golf carts until the new carts are delivered.
Thank you, Mr. Cruzy.
Thank you, Your Honor. So with the city deciding to manage operations at Castle Hills Golf Course in-house effective January 1 of 2017, and it's necessary for the city to acquire golf carts for the upcoming season. Proposals were received from three companies. The 4-year lease for the Easy Go golf cars was the lowest and best proposal received at $44,262 per year for 53 golf cars.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
I move that we approve Resolution 16-R-103.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilman Ayler, second by Vice Mayor Lewis, that we do approve Resolution 16-1R-103. Comments? Seeing none, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Farce,
Yes.
Councilmember Herbst,
Yes.
Councilmember Ehlers,
Yes.
Councilmember Blakesley,
Yes.
Councilmember Gerhard,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lewis,
Yes.
Mayor Setzer.
Yes, and the motion passes. The first ordinance this evening is 16-40. Mr. McDonald, by title only, please.
Ordinance 1640, an ordinance amending sections 123204, 123403, 127302, 127306A, and 127307, and repealing section 127310 of the Planning and Zoning Code within the codified ordinances of the City of Vandalia regarding variance criteria and planned unit development amendments.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
I move that we table ordinance 16-40 until after our January workshop, and that would put it on the agenda on February 6th, 2017.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilman First, second by Councilman Ayler, or Herbst, that we table ordinance 16-40 until February the 17th. Would you please call the roll? 17th. Six. I'm sorry. 6. Would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Herbst,
Yes.
Councilmember Ehlers,
Yes.
Councilmember Blakesley,
Yes.
Councilmember Gerhard,
Yes.
Councilmember Farce,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lewis,
Yes.
Mayor Setzer.
Yes, and the motion passes 7-0. We have an ordinance in second reading, and that's 16-37. Mr. McDonald?
Ordinance 1637, an ordinance repealing Chapter 810 of the Vandalia Codified Ordinances.
Since this is an ordinance in its second reading, I'm opening up a public hearing. So if there's anyone in the audience who would like to make a comment, would you please come to the podium, state your name and address, and then your comment. Seeing none, I will close the public hearing and ask for a motion.
I make a motion we approve ordinance 16-37 in its second reading.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilman Gerhardt, second by Councilwoman Farce, that we do approve ordinance 16-37 in its second reading. Any comments? Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Ehlers,
Yes.
Councilmember Blakesley,
Yes.
Councilmember Gerhard,
Yes.
Councilmember Farce,
Yes.
Councilmember Herbst,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lewis,
Yes.
Mayor Setzer.
Yes, and the motion carries 7-0. Ordinance 16-38, Mr. McDonald.
Ordinance 1638, an ordinance amending Chapter 882 Hotel Motel Tax of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Vandalia.
Thank you. Once again, this is an ordinance in its second reading, so I will open up a public hearing. If there's anyone in the audience who would like to make comment, would you please come to the podium, state your name and address for our records, and then your comment. Seeing none, I will close the public hearing and ask for a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve ordinance 1638 in the second reading.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilman Blakesley, second by Councilman Gerhardt, that we do approve ordinance 16-38 in its public hearing, for its public hearing. Any comments? Seeing none, call the roll.
Councilmember Blakesley,
Yes.
Councilmember Gerhard,
Yes.
Councilmember Farce,
Yes.
Councilmember Herbst,
Yes.
Councilmember Ehlers,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lewis,
Yes.
Mayor Setzer.
Yes, and the motion carries 7-0. We have an emergency ordinance this evening. Mr. McDonald, emergency ordinance 16-39.
1639, an ordinance to revise appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the City of Vandalia, Montgomery County, Ohio, during the calendar year ending December 31, 2016, and amending Ordinance 1521 and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. This is an emergency ordinance. It also requires a public hearing. So if there's anyone in the audience who would like to make comment about this ordinance, would you please come to the podium, State your name and address for our records, and then your statement. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and ask for a motion.
Your Honor, I move that we approve ordinance 1639 as an emergency.
Second.
It's been moved by Vice Mayor Lewis, second by Councilwoman Farce, that we okay the ordinance emergency 16-39. Any comments? Seeing none, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Herbst?
Yes.
Councilmember Ehlers?
Yes.
Councilmember Blakesley?
Yes.
Councilmember Gerhard?
Yes.
Councilmember Farce?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lewis?
Yes.
Mayor Setzer?
Yes, and the motion passes 7-0. We have a variance request this evening at 790 Hunter's Chase. Mr. Cruzy?
Well, again, I think this is the one that council discussed during your study session, and I think council discussed tabling this until your January 3rd meeting of next year.
Yes. So do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
No, this is to what date?
January 3rd, 2017.
Okay. We're going to use the table. The variance request is 790 Hunter's Chase until January the 3rd. May I have a vote, please?
Councilmember Ehlers?
Yes.
Councilmember Blakesley?
Yes.
Councilmember Gerhard?
Yes.
Councilmember Farce?
Yes.
Councilmember Herbst?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lewis?
Yes.
Mayor Setzer?
Yes, and the motion passes 7-0. Council, you have the Board of Zoning Appeals minutes of November the 23rd, 2016. You have the Community Reinvestment Area Housing Council minutes of November the 13th, and also the Community Reinvestment Area Housing Council draft minutes of November the 18th. Are there any questions about any of those? We have a bill listing for November 2016 in the amount of $2,676,048.96. And that brings us to council comments, starting with Mr. McDonald. Mr. Cruzy?
Nothing this evening, Your Honor.
Councilwoman Farce?
Just thanking staff and for the great job on the streets this week. I was south of town on Tuesday morning, I believe it was, and came back and was shocked at how much snow had come down here in Vandalia, but within a very short amount of time, the streets were clean, and I went back down to Lebanon, came back and thought, wow, something else happened. They were just cleaned up, and it just was a very tricky time with that ice freezing, and I know staff got a negative letter, and I thought Mr. Cron's answer was spectacular, and it was right on, and I just think staff did a great job. Thank you.
Well, notice that according to our agenda tonight that we had finished out the year with so far 103 resolutions and 39 ordinances. Correct me if I'm wrong. Which means that council's been pretty busy legislating this year. And we couldn't have done all that, though, without staff. And that means staff has been pretty busy throughout the year being able to provide us the information that we need to be able to legislate most of what we've been presented. And I just want to let everybody know, and I see most of the staff here tonight, and just thank all city staff for keeping the city running smoothly. And thanks for all your hard work throughout the entire year. And it's much appreciated on behalf of the council and the citizens. Thanks. And have a nice holiday.
Councilman Gerhard?
No comments tonight.
Councilman Ehlers?
No comments, thank you.
Councilman Herbst?
Nothing tonight.
Vice Mayor?
Nothing, Your Honor.
Well, I guess I'll just say it on behalf of everybody here. We wish you the very, very best of the holiday season. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to all of you. So with that, our meeting is adjourned.
See you next year.
Nicely done.